anyone here ever had an impact injury? You know what I mean by that? Falls, car accidents. Almost everyone has. And what we're starting to realize is that these often have long-term effects. But the good news is there is a solution for many of these problems. And understanding the science behind it, understanding how the body works from this new perspective is the goal of what we're going to be talking about this morning. My greatest dream is to bring matrix repatterning and these types of therapies to the world in a way that could help us overcome many conditions right now that we're frustrated about. For example, one of the studies we're doing with Dr. Page from Harvard is looking at cardiac function, and we're starting to realize now that heart function is often a mechanical problem. And in many cases, that's at the root of what's causing cardiovascular disease. Other conditions, less threatening perhaps, but equally onerous for many, like type 1 diabetes we're looking into as well, but also things like just joint injuries and musculoskeletal injuries, many people with concussions, things like that, snoring and apnea problems, reflux problems. These are all things that we've come up with solutions for because we recognize the mechanics of the cell. And that's pretty exciting stuff because we can change things at those levels when we are addressing them at those root cause levels. Our goal here is to help people achieve optimal health. And health has a whole range of variables, but one of them is well-being at the cellular level from a mechanical, electromagnetic, and physiological perspective, and that's really what matrix repatterning looks at. Many other therapies do that as well. Matrix repatterning has at its root a paradigm that we're going to elaborate on this morning that is, I think one more step further into that realm. So we're going to just do a little illustration of what we're going to be looking at. So what I'm going to be doing here is looking at his body in a slightly different way than many of you might have experienced before, and that is looking at the integrity of the fascial tension in his body and how it's interconnected. All right, so I'm going to be just doing something here, and I'll explain this to you later. You're actually going to experience it yourself in a few minutes. Okay, I'm suspecting snowboarding, skateboarding. What kinds of activities have you been
snowboarding.
Snowboarding? All right. Okay. When did you start snowboarding?
Probably 6 or 7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago? Okay. Learning curve is painful, isn't it?
Yes, very
Yeah. All right. Okay. Very good. Okay, so let's check something. I'm going to actually ask you to flip around if you don't mind, because there's something on your right side that I want to address. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to check a range of motion on Chris's right shoulder, and there's his range of motion on his right shoulder in abduction. And we'll look at a couple of other ranges here. You can see his range of motion in internal rotation is about there. And I'm going to need an assistant. What I'm going to have you do is just place one hand over here on his rib cage and another hand over here. Okay? So with her hands there, I'm going to check his range of motion in his shoulder. Okay? So there's your range of motion now. Okay, in abduction. Can everyone see that? All right? We'll check internal rotation. Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's his range of motion in internal rotation compared to before. Take your hands away. Good. And so we'll test it again without her hands there. And there's his range of motion in abduction. You remember what it was? You can feel the difference, right? It stops there, basically. Check his range of motion in internal rotation, and that's it. I'm just suspending it there. Okay? Everyone see the difference? Okay? Oh, illustrates something. We're not sure what yet, but thank you. That's great. And I'm going to ask you something, Chris. Chris, tell me how it feels when I poke around here.
A little bit tender.
A little bit tender? This side? Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Okay. So something that was going on here and something that's going on here is affecting his body. Okay? So there was a reaction, there's a change that we're looking for, and that's how we do our assessment, basically. And without asking anything about his history, I knew that there were some issues that were going on here. Question is, what was going on? Okay? So this is the nature of what we call the tensegrity matrix, the fact that one area is affecting another. I just use the shoulder as an example, but it also affects things like hip range of motion. Okay, if I check this hip, you can see the range of motion here, right? And if I get you, Chris, to place your own hand right here, I hope this wrist is okay. Let me just check this one. Yeah, not bad. Okay. All right. So now I'll bring this leg up now, and we'll check his range of motion in flexion now. You can see the difference, right? You can feel the difference, right? Okay. So that's the difference. All right. Fairly predictable. I haven't met you before. Haven't paid you any cash outlays or anything. Thank you. Everyone, if you don't mind, just sit up straight and uncross your legs. Put your coffee, tea, water down for a minute. And I'd like you to place your hands on your lap. So basically sitting like this. Okay? And with your hands on your lap. And I'd like you to just sit there comfortably. Just be aware of the feeling in the back of your neck, the tension in the back of your neck, okay? Right? Then I'd like you to tense up both fists and just be aware of any change in feeling in the back of your neck. Good. And then unclench them. Okay? Did anyone feel a difference? Okay? Some of you felt a difference. Okay? Okay, put up your hands if you felt it. Okay, so most people could feel that. All right? So what I'd like you to do now is, with your hands relaxed, is look over your right shoulder and just be aware of how far you can look in relation to your shoulder as you're aware with your eyes, okay? And then what I'd like you to do is come back to the center, tense up your right fist, okay, and now look over towards your right shoulder and notice if there's a difference in how comfortably or how far you can move your head to the right. Okay, let's try it to the left now. Try it to the left with your left, just without clenching anything. Okay, look to the left. All right, this time clench up both fists, okay, and look to the left. And just be aware of how far you can look over the left shoulder, okay, or how it feels and how far it goes. Anyone notice a difference? Anyone want to say what they felt when they had their fists clenched versus when they had their hands relaxed? Yes.
It was far tighter with my fists clenched.
Right.
Right away I could feel it go up into my ears.
Sure. All right. So guess what? When you clench your fists, your whole body clenches. All right? In a sense, every movement, every mechanical change in one part of the body affects the whole body. The whole body participates in every movement. Okay? And so therefore, if there is what we call a restriction or a primary problem in one area of the body, it often affects other parts. So the nature of pain, for example, is that an area that is restricted, not moving properly, can influence other areas, and in fact your symptoms may be in areas that are reacting to something else, right? When you turned your neck and it was stiff, the problem was not in your neck. It was right here. Right? This is an easy fix. I can do that myself. Just unclench my hand. But that's the nature of injury. Injuries often change things, okay? And what we're going to talk about, matrix patterning, is how that change affects your cells, okay? In every part of your body, all right? And so this is something that is at the root of what we're trying to help people understand and also help people overcome. Because in fact, well-being is our birthright. Well-being is the way our body was designed to be.